This is The Sports Life.
He hit the game-winning three to sink Duke in the Elite Eight with less than a second to play. Left side Mullins drives in, takes it strong. Banker partially deflected by Mara, picked up McKinney. Michigan wants to push. Lendeborg right to left. He hits it off the window. No, McNeil! A follow jam! A-Rod flexing on him. 33-28. Michigan up 5.
And welcome into the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. The Golden Tones are Brian Boesch, the voice of the Wolverines of Michigan, as he is a pretty excited guy, and he should be. They had to win 6 games to be the national champion, and that's exactly what they did. They won all 6 in pretty impressive fashion.
Absolutely, they did. And we'll get to hear from Brian a little bit later on in this show as well, because we're going to be spending this whole show really highlighting the Big Ten basketball national champions. Both Michigan on the men's side, we'll hear from Brian Boesch, and also UCLA on the women's side, winning it all. We'll get to hear from the voice of the Bruins in women's basketball, Dave Marcus.
And just for fun, we're going to go back to the year 2000, that run for a national championship with Michigan State, because it's been a long time between 2000 and 2026. So, as for the sounds of the week, Dalton, what do we got?
Well, we got to hear from Brian just a moment ago, but what did the final call sound like as the confetti starts to fall and the realization sets in for Brian Boesch and his partner Terry Mills, who, of course, played on the 1989 national championship team for Michigan? This is what the final moment sounded like with both Boesch and Mills.
Flip it, Reed. Here comes Smith. 10 seconds left. Smith snakes inside. Finger roll, no. Rebound loose. Spike to the deck. Picked up by Gale. He flings it to the other side. Game clock at 3. Caravan catches. That's it. Michigan wins. 69-63. The leaders and best reach college basketball's pinnacle for the second time. Michigan wins the national championship, 69-63 over the Huskies of Connecticut. And Terry Mills, you and that 1989 team finally have company.
And they're an elite company. Welcome aboard, young man.
How many times do you think they will play that call over the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever?
For sure, they should.
I mean, it's such a magic moment, and congratulations to all those guys, and of course, our buddies Brian and Terry Mills. So what else we got?
Well, again, another national champion. All the Big Ten does is win, it appears, at least this year. Football, men's basketball, women's hockey, men's wrestling, everything. The Big Ten's winning it all. But in women's basketball, UCLA throttled South Carolina. This one was over before really it got underway. And as the Bruins win it all, this is what the voice of UCLA women's basketball, Dave Marcus, had to say in the final moments.
South Carolina will put it in play. McDaniel is not going to press the issue. Rearrange the rafters. The Bruins are going to hang a banner. UCLA, national champions.
Well, it was a long time in coming for UCLA and the women's basketball team, but boy, you know, there's a parallel between what they did and what Coach John Wooden did. People forget he was there a long time and just a 500 kind of coach. And then when it got going pretty good. And they've had a couple great years. They really have.
Oh, they most certainly have. Got to the Final Four for the first time last year and follow it up with a national championship that saw their seniors score every single point in the Final Four. I mean, this is a group where you talk about a lot of different teams. And I mean, we talked about men's basketball in Michigan. Dusty May just in year 2 quickly got this thing going. Football, Kurt Cignetti at Indiana just took 2 years. Corey Close and UCLA, the way they went about this was kind of the old school model of having a core. Sure, some of them came through the portal, but they built together. And it's kind of a throwback look in today's day and age of college athletics and winning.
Well, there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, right?
That's right.
And whatever works, works. And so when we come back with more of the Sports Life, we're going to visit with Brian Boesch. Every journey that has great significance also has a great story. Brian has one. We'll talk about his memories of the title run in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back from Weather Sports Live. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, the Michigan Wolverines ended a dry spell for the Big Ten by winning the national championship in a fantastic game against the University of Connecticut. And it's kind of interesting as you take a look at what happened to them this year. They opened up the season by being almost invincible, going 14-0 to start. And at one point, they had a stretch where they were averaging over 100 points per ball game. They were going, wow, are these guys really that good? That's the thing I always ask Dalton. Are they really that good, Dalton? But anyway, so then came the Big Ten tournament. Obviously, Michigan, only one loss in the conference regular season, wins the Big Ten by 4 full games, which is saying something. But then the Big Ten tournament comes, and there's a game with Ohio State, only a 4-point win. Wisconsin, only a 3-point win. And the title game against Purdue, an 8-point loss. And so then came the NCAA tournament. The number 1 seeded Wolverines just blew through Howard, St. Louis, Alabama. Big double-digit wins, destroyed Tennessee. And what they did to Arizona was unbelievable in the semifinal game. And then they go on to win against Connecticut, 69-63. Joining us to talk about this is a fellow that was there for all of it, the voice of the Wolverines of Michigan, Brian Boesch. Well, I always talk about, 7 being a lucky number. Your 7th season, you get yourself a championship ring, and that's pretty cool. And so my question to open up, in terms of this journey for you, when did you realize that maybe this group was for real?
It's easy to say now, Will, but I remember going to some of the workouts over the late summer, early fall, and just it wasn't necessarily watching practice because you can only learn so much, especially early, right? Those practices are short. It's a lot more individual work. But just in talking with the coaching staff, with Dusty, with some of the players who had been around, I remember hearing that, Danny Wolf came back in mid-September to get the Big Ten tournament championship rings. They were going to have them at the Big House the next day for a celebration during a football game. And I guess Danny had just said, yeah, I mean, this team looks way better than us last year. And, obviously that doesn't guarantee anything. But just the vibes, the confidence, the understanding. And then once you saw these guys get going and what they were able to do in Vegas and all of that, you always knew it was possible. But, we know this, and Will, you mentioned the Big Ten's drought on the top of this. I think it's important to realize, I always thought that drought was, obviously it was important to end. But, man, there have been some incredible teams in the Big Ten over the years, right? I mean, that Wisconsin team that beat undefeated Kentucky, that team very well could have won the national championship. Michigan State, ran into a buzzsaw in 2009. But, boy, the 2020 team, when the season canceled, I wasn't going to count out Cassius Winston against anybody. The Michigan 2013 team was right there. A lot of controversy in Ann Arbor about the Trey Burke block that was called a foul. There have been some really, really good teams who have gotten to the brink and just haven't gotten it over the edge. But yeah, this Michigan team was able to do it. And I think what was most fascinating about it is that they played a game that UConn would have easily accepted if they were offered it at the start of the game. It was slow moving. The tempo was a bit wonky. Michigan didn't hit many threes. It was the game UConn wanted, yet still Michigan was able to outlast them and win the championship. So really, really special run after a creative, unique, and obviously effective way to build a roster.
Well, and Brian, I want to ask you too, because, I mean, you talk about that game, and it really, honestly, is a compliment to Michigan that they're able to play any which way and shows their versatility, their talent. They're able to win those. You brought up Vegas. I mean, what Michigan did in the non-conference was obviously eye-popping. I have a hard time recollecting, Brian, many teams that it feels like we're playing at their peak in November that then still played at their peak in March. And it felt like Michigan, maybe there's a couple of hiccups along the way. It took Wisconsin shooting 100%, it felt like, from three and from the floor to pull off an upset. But there haven't been many teams to survive and sustain that kind of peak play throughout a grind like this. How did that happen?
Yeah, I think they did, Dalton, have some stretches where they weren't quite at their peak. And I do attribute a little bit of that to some mid-season malaise. This team, I think, knew from Vegas on that when they were properly motivated, when enough was on the line, it was going to be really, really tough to beat them. And I think you look at it with Vegas, obviously there was a monetary component that was on the line that Michigan maximized. And then I think in road games, this team was able to do that. In some of the road games where it wasn't quite as high octane or the atmosphere wasn't that amazing. I mean, shoot, Penn State almost beat Michigan, frankly should have beaten Michigan at home in January. That was a win for Michigan on the road in the Big Ten that when I went down to the locker room, it felt like it was a 15-point loss. But when this team was motivated, when they were playing for a Di Mara against UCLA or Morez Johnson Jr. against Illinois, their former teams, or the rivalry games of Michigan State and Ohio State, there was motivation there, and it showed up in the NCAA tournament as well. I mean, what they did to Tennessee was a clinic, and I thought how they handled everything against St. Louis. St. Louis, I think, was a really good team, and Michigan handled them. But then the Arizona game, how could you have not gone into that game thinking that it was at least going to come down to the wire? And Michigan made it a laugher. Like that's just incredible what they did. But yeah, they were able to at least tap into that peaking enough. And it just happened to be when Michigan needed that type of performance. And man, to do that on the biggest stage with a team that had never been to the Final Four before, Dusty and a few assistants, that was it. That was the experience. And Michigan started off with such a bang against the Wildcats and then was able to outlast UConn.
Brian, I have never been one to advocate losing as a good thing, But after the Big Ten tournament final game and the loss to Purdue, it just seemed like that loss just woke this group up. Is that possible?
Yeah. I think it's fair. I think the entire weekend opened some eyes because Michigan did not play very well, and I thought that it was an interesting way to kind of simulate what was to come because Michigan played an Ohio State team that was, an 8 or a 9, so a second-round team that a 1 seed would face. And then they played Wisconsin, who was a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, so a team you would have played in the Sweet 16. And then they lost to Purdue, who was a 2 seed in the Elite 8. So, or in the championship game. So, that was an Elite 8 comparison. So it was a really helpful simulation or dry run to what Michigan was going to encounter over the ensuing 2 weeks. And Michigan did not play well in really any of those games. I thought that they held Ohio State at bay, but that was a matchup that I really liked for Michigan. They went wire to wire in Columbus, and Ohio State, they played better basketball, and Ohio State played really well that day, and Michigan just wasn't phenomenal. The Wisconsin game, it took a few threes, kind of like how Wisconsin beat Michigan in the regular season, but it wasn't, that was probably Michigan's best performance of the weekend, but not their best performance by any stretch in the final 2 months of the season. And then Purdue just out-toughed Michigan. I mean, it was a bully ball game against a team in Purdue that Michigan went to their place and really was never truly in doubt. The only doubt was because it was at Mackey, and that place is really tough to play. So, I do think, Will, that even if Michigan would have somehow pulled off that Big Ten championship in the tournament, I think it would have been a wake-up call because Michigan did not play very well. But I do think that at least helped recenter. Now, are they going to cite the Purdue win when they're, winning against Arizona in the Final Four? No, probably not. But these players, these coaches, they're able to summon motivational factors, teaching points from other games. And I don't know if they got a better teaching stretch than those 3 games in Chicago at the Big Ten tournament.
Brian, I want to ask you from your vantage point, because I believe what Dusty May just has now accomplished in year 2 and what Curt Cignetti accomplished at Indiana in year 2, it's really going to warp a lot of different administrations into chasing the dragon and saying, why can't that be us? They're going to think it's easier than it really is, that maybe you just throw some money around, throw some money into it, and boom, you get national championships because we have those recent examples. But it's obviously harder than that. How did Dusty May pull this off in year 2 there in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, Dalton, I do think there's some interesting parallels. I do want to make sure that, in my opinion, what Curt Cignetti has done is maybe the story of this century in sports because of where Indiana football was. Michigan basketball was coming off a tough couple of years, unquestionably. But there at least was a built-in area of success. There had been runs where Michigan was right there with some of the best in college basketball. So this one's a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But at the same token, for Dusty May to come in as quickly as he did, and to do it where what I think impresses me most about Dusty is that he is a CEO of a company just as much as he is a ball coach. He knows that there are times where he can't lock in on a film study or, a one-on-one coaching drill because he's got to go out and go to a donor dinner or do a media obligation or go on a recruiting trip. He understands that, and he's able to delegate. He trusts his staff. He trusts his players, his managers, and he is willing and able to lean into whatever the circumstance is. Even if he doesn't like it, his MO is, hey, if I can't control it, why don't I just try to figure it out? And, there's a lot been made about the fact that Michigan brought in a bunch of transfers to start them, but they also had 4 returning rotation players who were going to take on lesser roles. So, yes, Michigan did go to the transfer portal, but they also allowed a guy like Namari Burnett or Will Cheddar or Roddy Gale Jr. or LJ Kaysen to be ready, willing, and able to take on less of a role than they would have had on probably 350 teams in college basketball, because he built a culture that allowed for that encouraged that really demanded that. And that's tough to simulate. It's unique. But Michigan was able to buy in. I mean, even of a couple of their transfers, they had to get Adai Mara and Morris Johnson Jr. to buy into the fact that they were going to bring in Yaxel Lendeborg. Like, that's not easy to do. So yes, I do you know, in a perfect world, is every team going to have, you know, 5 guys who played at their school for 4 years? Of course. But Dusty showed that you have to reflect proof of concept quickly, because then people, donors, fans are willing to buy in. They get excited about the product. I think if there's one lesson for other programs to take from Dusty May, is that in order to build, you have to start with winning. It doesn't mean you have to win a national championship or like Michigan went to last year, Sweet 16 Big Ten tournament title, but you have to show in year one some real marketable growth. And Michigan did that last season, and they took it to the nth degree in year 2. And that, to me, is that's what any good business does, right? You want to have that bar graph, that line graph going up. And obviously Michigan's the altitude, the tempo of that upward trend is pretty special.
Well, Brian, one of the great parts of this national championship story for Michigan is your sidekick, Terry Mills, your analyst. Terry Mills was a starter on the 1989 national championship Michigan basketball team. I don't know any other guy that played on a national championship team and then got to announce for his school a national championship. So, given all that, how was Terry after all this?
Oh, well, I appreciate you asking about him. He was emotional. He spoke to the team after their final film session before the UConn game. It was a minute. I recorded it. It was literally 60 seconds on the dot. He didn't need to say much, but he poured his heart out to these guys and how much they mean to him. And, you know, it's so interesting because, and I understand why, the Fab Five is beloved. I've heard many talking heads ask, well, is this 2026 team better than the Fab Five? Well, yes. And so is the 1989 team, because those two teams won the national championship. I understand the cultural impact, the popularity impact, and the success. To get to a national championship game and lose is still a remarkable accomplishment. But the fact that 89 team is in a lot of ways forgotten about, even if it is one of the most remarkable stories ever, where interim head coach Steve Fisher leads this group to a title 37 years ago. The coolest thing maybe all year was Terry talking about how this team allowed him to relive memories from 89. Because when you're in the fight, when you're going through a season, you're on to the next. You enjoy something very briefly, and then it's next practice, next film session, next lift, next game, next travel, next hotel. When you get a chance to step back, you can really take it in. And so many times this year, Terry mentioned that this group allowed him to live vicariously through them because he experienced it but didn't remember it all. And he got a chance to see it. To me, that was as cool as anything over the last 3-4 months. And Terry, he bared all his emotion down the stretch in the call, and then obviously in the aftermath.
Final question, Brian, the championship journey. For you, what was it like?
Overwhelming, Will. You know, we get into this industry to really, I got into this industry just to get to a point where people would care about the product. You know, I called a lot of minor league baseball, and man, I loved some of those teams. Still, one of my great heartbreaks in sports was the 2012 Winston-Salem Dash not winning the Carolina League Championship, and that's genuine. That one still hurts me 14 years later because it was such a good group. But you just get in here, you just hope to get to a point where you're at a platform where it's a passionate fan base and people want to tune in and they want to consume your product. So all of that, I've already hit a jackpot that very few get to, even though there are way more people qualified to do these jobs than there are that actually get to do these jobs at that kind of a level. So then to be around this group, this team, you know, I had a couple people ask me, hey, where have you gone in Indianapolis? Like, have you gone here? Have you gone there? Man, I stayed in the hotel the whole time because I wanted to be around this group as much as possible because of how special it was. I wanted to soak it up as much as I could because of the people, their families, those around the program. It's been absolutely incredible. It's been overwhelming. It's something I never, ever could have imagined. Truly, I didn't dream about it because I didn't want to be that greedy. I wanted to just call games at a level that people listen. To be able to call a national championship game, man, it was special. It was emotional, and again, the word I keep going back to is overwhelming. It was a wide range of emotions.
By the way, it's okay to be a little selfish and greedy on that one, Brian. It's okay to be that way. It really is. Well, we appreciate it.
In that case, I hope I get to do it again next year.
Well, there you go.
How about that?
It's okay. Well, I appreciate it, Brian. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dalton. Thanks, Will. Appreciate you guys.
Some of the thoughts of Brian Boesch, the voice of the Wolverines of Michigan. Well, the Wolverines are the champs of 2026. In just a moment, we're going to go back and take a revisit to the champs of 2000, Michigan State.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
And welcome back from Weather Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetland. Don't forget, auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Well, we had a fun chat with Brian Boesch, but it's always good to kind of flash back a little bit, Dalton.
Absolutely. The last time the Big Ten actually won the national championship in men's basketball, you got to go back to the year 2000 when Michigan State got it done. And when they finished the job there in Indianapolis and they came back home to East Lansing, Tom Izzo and his Spartans met in front of all of Spartan Nation at the Capitol building. And here's Tom Izzo.
While we were making our run, I watched this thing grow. Whereas one of the speakers said, everybody started becoming a Michigan State fan. I think we were the only team that was picked to win, that we actually had people pulling for us. Usually they pull for the underdog. But I think they saw in this team the guy next door. They didn't see somebody who acted bigger or thought they were bigger than anyone else. These players handled themselves with class, with dignity, and you should be very, very proud of what they accomplished, because it's far more than just winning a national championship. We thank you. Put it in the back of your brain. Don't ever lose this moment. It's the greatest moment I've ever had. Thank you.
Pretty special time in East Lansing, as Michigan State, of course, on April 3rd, 2000, beat Florida 89-76. But if we go back just a little bit before that, the Elite Eight, as we've heard, Michigan State and Iowa State, was one of the biggest games that entire tournament. Maybe just as big as the championship, as we'd hear from some of the players later on. And one of the guys we did get to hear from is Mateen Cleaves. I actually had a chance to catch up with him last year, and I asked him about that Iowa State game, and more specifically, that alley-oop pass to Morris Peterson. Such an iconic MSU moment, how it came about.
To be honest, it was a play that was called in the timeout. And I think Coach kind of had an idea for something else. And Mo Pete, actually, I think, if I can remember, brought that play up. And he was saying, Jamar Tinsley, I think, was checking him, and he said he's been cheating the whole game. Because Jamar Tinsley used to like to get in the passing lanes and try to go for steals. And, Pete set him up. Jamar thought I was coming for Pete for a dribble handoff, and he cut back door, and, he went and made a play, man. Like he did all year, like all these guys did for me. I would just throw up lobs like Jason Richardson and Mo Pete, and these guys, I got a lot of credit for it, but they made me look good, and I threw a pass up, man. He went and got it, and I told him walking out on that floor, I said, you better catch this, no matter where, you better catch it, man. And he went up and caught it, and if you can read his lips, he was running down the court saying, I told you, and that was kind of at me and Coach Izzo, like, I told you, to run that play. So, yeah, man, what a moment.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And another one I wanted to bring up too, National Championship game 2000. You guys are taking on Florida. Mm-hmm. In that game, you go down with an injury. Do you remember 20 years later what was going through your mind as you stepped off the floor in the championship game with an injury?
Just win, man. That's all I was thinking about. T-Mac, Tom McCoyak, was one of the best trainers I ever had, NBA, college, whatever, But when we went in the back and he said, he taped me up and put a brace on it, and I'm like, let's go. And that's all I was thinking about, was getting back on the floor. I didn't think about my ankle being hurt, none of that. Hurry up, T-Mac, get me back on the floor. So, but I did think about, like, why? Because I had went through so much adversity, and even breaking my foot at the beginning of the season, I'm like, oh, no, God, not now, not this moment. We here at the promised land, like, we got to close the deal. And but me and T-Mac, he's been great. He was great my whole career here. Took me in the back, taped it up, put a brace on it. And that was my focus, just to get back out there and do whatever I could do to help our team win a championship.
You do get back out there, the final buzzer sounds, we see that big smile, and you kind of dancing a little bit there on the floor. Do you remember the emotion still to this day, what it was like when that happened?
Yeah, man, it's like we did it. And I thought about 1995 when I was being recruited here, and people thought I was crazy to go to Michigan State, and I was talking about winning national championships at Michigan State when they hadn't even made it to the NCAA tournament. And I think that's something me and Coach Izzo, we share together. And when he recruited me, we talked about winning the national championship, and I think that was kind of over a lot of people's head. They didn't see the vision, and that's something that me and Coach share to this day. Is like, we saw it, we knew it, and we got a great group of guys to buy into it and sacrifice, and we made it happen. But I just thought about, all those years, everything we went through, the ups, the downs, even just being recruited by Coach Izzo and talking about winning the national championship, and we did it. This wasn't Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas. This was Michigan State, where people said, didn't see it, but we made it happen, and we did it as a collective group. But that's what was going through my mind. That's why you saw the tears flowing, and just thinking about everything we had went through up until that point to win a national championship.
Mateen Cleaves there. What a moment. The images of him crying after the game, the images of him smiling, you never forget them.
No, and he brought up in one interview that the dance was impromptu. He didn't know what to do. He was when that goal has been in front of you, whatever your goals in life are, and then you get there, you're there, and you go, now what? Mm-hmm. We're here. But he talked about the great pass to Mo Pete. It was a late run to beat Iowa State, 23-5 that propelled them. And the other intriguing story was playing Wisconsin for the fourth time. And to say that the Badgers played slow ball in those days was an understatement. They win that one 53-41. And I still remember everybody going, well, they can't keep up with Florida. Florida will run them off the court. Well, obviously, they had not seen Michigan State play because the Spartans could play any game you want, slow, fast, and the rest is history as we celebrate the championship. Michigan State winning it all for the Big Ten and for the Spartan Nation. Well, now the Big Ten has finally ended the dry spell, and we have another national champion. Back with more in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
You hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, on the women's side of basketball in the Big Ten, the Bruins of UCLA absolutely took advantage of every opportunity, and they came home the champions of all of college basketball on the women's side. And so to give you a rough idea of this overnight sensation, we're going to go back to the beginning of the Corey Close era as head coach of the Bruins. 15 years ago, she took the job and talked about winning a national championship. Her first 13 seasons in the Pac-12, the best there, a couple of second-place finishes, one Elite Eight appearance, no titles for the regular season. Then last year, first year in the Big Ten, while men teams were complaining of the old Pac-12 members that going on the road was costing them. They couldn't win. The travel was severe. The Bruins of UCLA won one after another on the road. Matter of fact, they haven't lost a road game yet in 2 seasons. And finally, the tide began to turn. They won the Big Ten tournament title a year ago, got to the Final Four. In this season, they were spectacular. 37-1. Ran the table in the Big Ten regular season, won the Big Ten tournament, and destroyed Iowa in the title game by 51 points. And, of course, now they are the national champions of all the women's basketball. And joining us to talk about this overnight sensation is their longtime voice of 23 seasons, Dave Marcus. And, Dave, welcome. And after giving everybody this background, my first question to you is, what finally turned the table?
What finally turned the table was intentional recruiting by this incredible staff, great coaching, and players that could work from the inside and the outside. UCLA has always had really good players, but they've never had the balance of inside game and outside game that they had this year. Even contrasted with last year's team, the three-point shooting just wasn't there a year ago. This year, Lauren Betts, obviously one of the great players in the nation, 6'7" post whose game developed year after year. She added skills to her arsenal. And one of those skills was the ability to find the open shooters. And UCLA really was able to spread the floor and give her room to work and give the shooters room to shoot. Just a terrific, balanced team and great coaches to shepherd them along.
Well, you talk about those coaches, Dave, and you also bring up Lauren Betts and some of the great players this group had. But one of the things I find really fascinating and that makes this UCLA team different than other national champions maybe is the way Corey Close did it. And there was a quote she had that when she used to talk to John Wooden, Wooden had said, you've got to coach your way. You've got to be authentic to you. Her style is positive. It's uplifting. And it feels like the players she brought in between Lauren Betts, between Kiki Rice and Gabriela Jaquez, both of them have been Bruins their entire careers. They were able to propel and elevate this culture into something different, wouldn't you say?
The buy-in was incredible from this entire group. And I've never been around a team that had this much chemistry on and off the court. They were absolutely fantastic. They were very serious about their task, but they still took time to have plenty of fun. And they really blended all of the good things about college athletics. It was just a joy to be around this group.
23 seasons, Dave. How was this journey for you, huh?
Well, it's had some ups and downs. There have been some really good UCLA teams in the past, although, as you mentioned, they never got over the top of the mountain. Last year, going to the Final Four for the first time was a really big step for this program. And it turned out to be a learning experience. They learned a lot about what it takes to navigate the Final Four landscape, and they used those lessons very effectively. I mean, my time with the Bruins has been fantastic throughout. A program that, although really talented, was in the shadows for many, many years. Didn't get a lot of attention even in Los Angeles. And I think the most gratifying part of their journey is how the community has finally embraced this team. Not just this year, not just last year, but going back a few years, you could just feel the momentum building. And there was a watch party during the national championship game in Pauley Pavilion. And people came in to watch the game on the big screen. And there were more people in the stands for that than we used to have at our games. It was really just so wonderful to see. And, I've gotten to know a lot of the longtime Bruin supporters and over the years, and, their loyalty and their love for the team is just unparalleled. It's just been fantastic to see how this team has really bought brought the community together.
Okay, Dave, when you get your championship ring, are you going to lock it up? Are you going to put it in a special display area? What are you going to do?
You know, it's funny. You get sized for a ring, and I don't know what ring you wear, what finger you wear the ring on. So first I gave the person who does it the sizing, and then I said, wait, I don't want it on that finger. And I said, no, I'm going to do it on this finger. Of course, the order had already gone in. And she said, how did you lose 2 ring sizes in 10 minutes? And I just said, I've been working out.
That's a really good response, Dave. Well, and you talk about the ways that you bring memorabilia now in honor of what this great season and accomplishment was. Dave, you and I talked a little bit about, and Will and I both have been to Pauley Pavilion before. I don't know if a good portion of our listeners have made the trip to Pauley Pavilion out in Los Angeles, but it's overwhelming there because you have everything from John Wooden's pyramid, you have all the banners from all the national championships, then you have all the Olympic sports success being honored everywhere. It's really overwhelming, the success, but there isn't anything hanging in those rafters really for UCLA women's basketball. This is their first NCAA national championship. Of course, had a lot of success with Ann Myers-Drysdale back in the AIAW days, but the rafters are going to look a little bit different, and that means something to you and the Bruins.
Absolutely. There is an AIAW banner commemorating the 1978-79 team, not only Ann Myers-Drysdale, but Denise Curry, who scored 3,700 points in her career at UCLA. She was the most incredible player, along with Ann Myers-Drysdale. But at UCLA, they don't hang banners commemorating we got to the Elite Eight. They don't hang banners saying we made the NCAA tournament. The only banners in Pauley Pavilion are national championship banners. And so obviously there's a lot of men's banners in there. There's 11 of them hanging up there. Great success for the gymnastics team and the volleyball teams at UCLA. They've had outstanding programs. But women's basketball has had that one lone AIAW banner. You know, they won the WNIT a few years ago, didn't get a banner for that. And so my closing call in the final seconds, the Bruins had turned the ball over on a shot clock violation, and I realized South Carolina was not going to push forward. I had about 10 seconds to get in the call. And all I said was, rearrange the rafters. The Bruins are going to hang a banner. And that is going to be an incredibly meaningful ceremony when that thing goes up in the roof of Pauley Pavilion.
So the level of success, the last 2 years, 71 wins, only 4 losses, and you're going to get that big banner we've just talked about. Is this success level sustainable?
It's hard to know in a transfer portal NIL era. I believe that they have obviously tremendous momentum. In her post-game press conference, one of the first things Corey Close said was, my portal recruiting just got a lot easier. They are going to have to add a lot of players. They're looking to add 5. And the question is going to be, can you build the kind of chemistry that the Bruins built with this group that was here for 3 or 4 years? Can you build that with 1 and 2 year players? I don't know what their targets are. I never talk recruiting with them. It's hard to replace a Lauren Betts, but this staff I know is very serious about their task, and I'm sure they'll bring quality players in. And of course, they're going to have a spotlight that they have never really had before.
Well, as a final thought here, Dave, for you this season, fondest memory or memories?
You know, there are so many. My memories sometimes, go to things like bus rides in the middle of the winter when you're riding across the landscape, and hearing the players in the back with their laughs and their giggles, and it was a good group to be around. On the court, there was nothing that compared with the final seconds of the national championship game. That's a scenario that you only imagine. And when it happens, number one, you're there to call the game, so you do your job calling the game. But it was deeply, deeply satisfying to see that clock hit 000 and see the blue and gold confetti come out of the sky, and just see the joy on the players' faces as they celebrated. That was a lasting. I've had a lot of them over 23 years. That was a memory that is going to stick with me for a long time.
Well, Dave, congratulations. It's just special to be able to be part of a moment like that. I'm glad you were there to enjoy it. And who knows? There might be more in store for you.
You never know. I've learned over those 23 years, it doesn't always work out like you think it's going to work out, but it's just been really fun being along on the ride. And I really appreciate, Will, you and Dalton taking the time to talk about the Bruins and cover women's college basketball. It's such a great sport, and it deserves all the attention it gets.
So, Dave, you're welcome for that, and be sure to send us a picture of that ring on your finger.
You got it. It'll fit.
Dave Marcus, a longtime voice for the Bruins of UCLA when it comes to women's basketball, 23 seasons. And after all those years and all those games, he finally gets to be part of the big moment. Back with more of the Sports Life after this break.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little? But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt. That's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
And welcome back from more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Fun show, a great visit with Brian Boesch of Michigan and Dave Marcus of UCLA, both voices of their respective teams. Brian on the men's side, Dave on the women's side, and they both come home with national championships. So, it's always fun to look back to 2000. Nostalgia is always a good thing. And Dalton, that gets us to our parting shots. What do you got?
It sure does. And by the way, a reminder to everybody, make sure you follow us at Sports Life Now on Twitter, X. That's again our name, at Sports Life Now. You can find all of the content posted there. But I'm going to go back to one of the familiar voices in this show, Brian Boesch, the voice of the Michigan Wolverines, because beyond the incredible journey it was for the team, the fans, and himself, he did something pretty cool to honor and really commemorate what this moment was for him. On the back of his play-by-play sheet, he actually wrote down all the different names of people who have helped influence and impact him along his journey, and he took a moment to talk with us about that.
Yeah. So early in the postseason, I thought through the fact that this had a chance to be a really special run, and I wanted to try to commemorate it in some way, shape, or form. So I'd seen a few guys who, over the years had done something to, whether it was inside a suit jacket or, sign on a baseball or whatever, right? Something to put names of people who mattered to them on there. So I had the idea of basically just, hey, if Michigan got to the Final Four, I'd spend some time early in the week just thinking back throughout the course of my career and of course my life, and just think of all the people who, whether it was directly, indirectly, for a brief time, for a long period of time, who made a positive impact on me, my career, gave me an opportunity, whatever it might be. So I put, at the top, my late father, who was the first person to encourage me to try to do this professionally. I was a very shy kid until basically midway through college, but he saw something in me. And then my mom and my wife, Katie. I just wanted to make sure I appreciated it, included others in some very, very small way, to show that I didn't forget about some of the people. Like there were people on there who I haven't talked to in 20 plus years. So being able to reconnect through that and share some of those names, that to me was super, super special, because I would not be here without obviously the people on the front of the chart, the players, the coaches, the staff members. But I would have never gotten a chance to get this job without literally hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And I tried to put as many of them as I could on the back of the chart to have them in some very small way with me while I was calling the two biggest games of my life.
Brian Boesch, of course, in a really unique and cool way, sentimental, able to honor those around him.
I think that's really neat. That is really a cool thing. Well, we're going to stay, Dalton, with the Michigan theme a little bit here. In February of this season, as Michigan was marching its way through the Big Ten Conference on its way to a regular season championship, I had a chance to visit with Dusty May, the head coach of the Wolverines, and it was apparent then that this team could win the national championship. So I asked him if he believed in things like being a team of destiny.
I don't. No, I do believe luck plays a factor in all that we do. I'm coaching today at the University of Michigan because people invested in me. I made some good decisions along the way, and I got lucky a lot. So yes, there's you avoid the injury bug. Someone else gets an injury. You get the right matchup versus the wrong matchup, and so you just try to stay in the fight, and that's what's made Michigan State's run over the course of the last 30, 40 years that much more impressive, that they've been able to overcome those bad breaks. Obviously, they've received good breaks on certain years, and on the years they didn't receive those breaks, they were good enough and tough enough to overcome that, and so that's why the longevity and the stamina that they've had the last 3 decades has been incredible.
Dustin May, the head coach of the Wolverines in Michigan. So, Dalton, whether he believes in destiny or not, he's a national champion.
That's right.
So that's a wrap for our show this week. Always thanks to Brian Boesch for joining us, along with Dave Marcus. And it was really fun to flash back to the work the Spartans did in the year 2000. And we always appreciate everybody who joined us this week. We should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetland. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.